Your biological autonomy is currently being harvested through a series of cognitive snares hidden in plain sight. Look at your financial identity. It is not a reflection of your worth, but a calibrated output of a system designed to keep your activation energy at a perpetual near zero. You are a biological unit experiencing a total information hemorrhage through the concept of delayed gratification sabotage. The matrix has conditioned your neural pathways to prioritize instant social validation, the visual rage of the new car, the designer label, the luxury upgrade, over long-term territorial control. You are living in a state of chronic status anxiety where your nervous system is vibrating at the high-frequency pitch of a consumer, a unit that must constantly replenish its social credit to feel safe. You are breathing in the toxic fumes of a collective that demands you look rich while you are biologically starving for actual sovereignty. You are not building an empire, you are decorating a rented cell with the very chains that bind you. The system doesn't want you broke, it wants you highly leveraged and fearful. Thousands of years ago, a financial trap was a physical cage or a literal shackle. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the unmapped dark, understood that slavery was a product of energy dependency. He mastered primal grounding in the law of the lean winter. He didn't have revolving credit, he had biological reserves. His hierarchy was built on the foundation of resource retention, the ability to say no to the tribe's immediate comforts to ensure the survival of his own mission. He understood that the moment you accept a gift or a loan from the collective, you are signing over your activation energy to the collective's goals. His biological rebellion was his total refusal to be indebted. He possessed a mind that treated convenience as a tactical lure. He understood that comfort is the lubricant of domestication. If he could be bought with a warm bed and a steady meal, he was no longer an architect, he was a tool. And you have the psychological defense of a domestic animal. You have been systematically dismantled by a culture that demands you live now, pay later, which is just a tactical requirement for your lifelong biological harvesting. A man in debt is a man who has lost his primal scent of freedom. Matrix traps are the implementation of the anti-chew protocol for your final material containment. The system wants you to be predictable and integrated, words that mean calculable and weak. Absolute sovereignty is a biological jailbreak of the wallet. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the financial grid for what it is, a series of subscription leashes, stimulus response lures, and deciding to be the one who cuts the leather. You must develop a clinical cold contempt for mainstream financial milestones. Owning a home, a 30-year debt trap, is a horizontal bond for the herd. Absolute liquidity is a vertical tool for the elite. You must learn to occupy the blind spots of the social status game. Use the temporal noose of selective deprivation to build a war chest that makes you psychologically immune to job loss or market shifts. Use the false safety of a frugal, uninteresting exterior to mask the activation of your massive capital accumulation. This is the collar of freedom. By mastering the art of the unseen resource, you become the only person in the room whose time is not for sale at any price. The matrix cannot simulate the leverage of a man who truly does not want. Your time is the temporal noose, and your lifestyle maintenance is the knot. Every upgrade to your life that requires more of your time to maintain is a signature on your own biological surrender. I command you, initiate the total psychological audit. Your mind is a biological engine, and it is currently being choked by the status sludge of the unworthy. You must perform a hard reset of the financial instincts. Stop being influenced, the industrial waste designed to make you want things you don't need to impress people you don't like. Stop participating in their spending holidays, the digital propaganda designed to keep you in a cycle of earning to spend. Stop using their credit scores, the invisible cage designed to make you a good slave. You must prune your life of financial drive killers. If an expense doesn't increase your perceived status in your eyes, your territorial reach, or your internal power, it is a biological saboteur. You must learn to love the friction of the horde. This is the monolith strategy, becoming a biological fortress that is unbuyable by choice and sovereign by design. Command, burn the contract, or be the fuel. The neural interface of your economic survival is currently being hijacked by reward center overloading. Look at your automatic payments. They are not conveniences. They are biological anchor points designed to ensure your activation energy is pre-allocated before you even wake up. You are a biological unit experiencing a total cognitive drain. The matrix has effectively replaced your primal resourcefulness with a systemic dependency. You believe that by accumulating points, rewards, and tier status, you're winning the game. But in the terminal of reality, These are just digital carrots used to keep your nervous system synchronized with the consumption grid. This is the visual rage of the domesticated male, seeing your high-value strategic potential being liquidated into convenience and small comforts, while the true operators remain in the shadows, converting your convenience into their control. You are living in a state of chronic resource transparency, where your surplus is calculated and harvested by the algorithm before it can ever become power. The system doesn't want your capital, it wants your neural sync to the spending loop. In the ancient hierarchy, the law of the unbreaking surplus, the master was the one who could remain disconnected from the tribe's immediate gratification. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the absolute dark, understood that wealth was a product of systemic isolation. He mastered primal grounding by becoming an energy monolith, a figure who could withhold his resources until the exact moment of total territorial expansion. He understood that to be integrated is to be controlled. If your survival depends on a supply chain you do not own, you are not a man, you are a component. His biological superiority was built on the foundation of self-correction. He knew that the human brain is a machine that runs on novelty, and by refusing to chase the new, he triggered a biological activation of his long-range intent. He was a master of the visual rage of the old tool, the ability to use the same blade for 20 years and funnel the saved energy into the acquisition of more land. And you are a creature of upgrades. You spend your drive on the visual rage of the latest hardware, when the only hardware you should be upgrading is the strategic core of your own mind. To be a master, you must first become psychologically unresponsive to the market. Matrix traps are the activation of the anti-chew protocol for your final internal dominance. The matrix wants you to be accessible and compliant, words that mean trackable and weak. Absolute sovereignty is a biological siege of the consumption mind. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the social grid for what it is, a series of feedback traps, stimulus response lures, and deciding to be the one who shorts the circuit. You must develop a clinical, cold contempt for mainstream financial literacy. Investing in the market is a horizontal bond for the herd. Building private infrastructure is a vertical tool for the elite. You must learn to occupy the blind spots of the global capital flow. Use the temporal noose of selective absence from the marketplace to drive your own value into the red zone. Use the false safety of a standard social profile to mask the absolute zero of your total financial non-compliance. This is the collar of freedom. By mastering the art of the hidden reserve, you become the only person in the room whose life force is not for sale. Most people are meat puppets who can be manipulated by a flash sale or a tax rebate. You must become the one who is dead to both. You are not saving, you are weaponizing your independence. The one who can sit in a room and not buy is the one who controls the market. Your time is the temporal noose, and your need for social status is the knot. Every brand name you display on your body is a signature on your own biological surrender. I command you, initiate the second stage of the financial rearmament. Your mind is a biological engine, and it is currently being choked by the service sludge of the unworthy. You must perform a total neural asset reset. Stop being there for the grid's marketing campaigns. Stop being a node in their network of influencer-driven consumption. Stop being a unit of compliance in their ledger of proper spending habits. You must prune your social interactions with the collar of absolute sovereignty. If a financial decision requires you to sacrifice your primal focus, it is a biological saboteur. You must learn to love the weight of the liquid reserve. You must learn to love the friction-heavy hours where you build your own capital instead of financing theirs. This is the monolith strategy, becoming a biological fortress that is solvent by choice and sovereign by design. Command: accumulate the silence or be buried by the noise. Your biological trajectory has reached the terminal velocity of systemic domestication. Look at your reward threshold, the exact moment your nervous system triggers a dopamine spike because you've successfully financed a lifestyle that your physical territory cannot actually sustain. You are a biological system in a state of chronic activation decay. The matrix has successfully replaced your primal independence with a series of financial handcuffs disguised as convenience. You no longer seek to own the means of your survival. You seek to maintain your creditworthiness. You no longer seek to be the sovereign of your time. You seek to be productive for the grid. You no longer seek to build a legacy. You seek to pay off the balance. This is the visual rage of the terminal slave, seeing your life force being digitized, packaged, and sold back to you as lifestyle subscriptions, while your physical reality remains a quiet, managed enclosure of unfulfilled DNA. You are breathing in the toxic fumes of a collective that demands your economic synchronization as a form of tribute, leaving you lightheaded, fragmented, and fundamentally fundamentally easy to lead into the liquidation chamber of the common good. The system doesn't want your debt to be repaid. It wants your repayment cycle to be eternal. Return to the ancient hierarchy, the law of the unbreaking horde. In the primal world, the master was the one who could survive the total collapse of the social exchange. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the absolute cold, understood that wealth was a product of biological redundancy. He mastered primal grounding by becoming an autonomous resource, a figure who could produce fire, tools, and security without a single infrastructure to support him. He understood that to be efficient is to be fragile. If you rely on the tribe's specialization to provide your survival, you belong to the tribe. He used his resource sovereignty to create a cognitive resonance of absolute, unshakable divinity. By being the master of his own internal economy, he forced the world to negotiate with him on his terms. He was a master of the visual rage of the unblinking sun, the ability to look at the incentives of the tribe and see only the bait they represented. He understood that the human brain is a machine that runs on security loops, and by being the only source of absolute cold certainty, he triggered a biological submission in everyone who was living on credit. And you are terrified of market volatility. You spend your energy trying to keep up when the only keeping you should care about is keeping your activation energy for your own ascension. To be a king, you must first become psychologically immune to the system's rewards. Matrix traps are the activation of the anti-chew protocol for your final mental expansion. The matrix wants you to be predictable and productive, words that mean harvestable and weak. Absolute sovereignty is a biological jailbreak of the capital mind. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the social grid for what it is, a series of subscription control nodes, stimulus response lures, and deciding to be the one who burns the grid. You must develop a clinical cold contempt for mainstream financial stability. Stability is a horizontal bond for the herd. Absolute asset control is a vertical tool for the elite. You must learn to occupy the psychological high ground by controlling the flow of your own biological inputs. Use the temporal noose of total luxury starvation to drive your brain into a state of hyper-focus. Use the false safety of a neutral social profile to mask the viral infection of your total non-compliance with the beta norms. This is the color of freedom. By mastering the art of the unseen asset, you become the only person in the room whose value is not being broadcast from a server. Most people are meat puppets who can be manipulated by a price hike or a tax reform. You must become the one who is dead to both. You are not saving, you are deleting the dependency. The one who can go the longest without external resources is the one who controls the resources of everyone else. Your time is the temporal noose, and your need for social status is the knot. Every precaution you take that involves keeping a job you hate to pay for things you don't use is a signature on your own biological death warrant. I command you, initiate the final financial imperative. This is the tax of insight. You have been given the key to the vault of biological freedom. To keep it, you must use it as a weapon of total material dominance. You must become a living monolith of unshakable capital. You are no longer a taxpayer, a user, or a customer. You are a sovereign operator. You must perform a total system liquidation. If a relationship, a technology, or a habit requires you to be dependent, it is a biological saboteur. You must prune your life with the collar of the absolute zero. You are building a fortress of results in a world of digital shadow. Your wealth is the physical proof of your biological leverage. You do not ask for a raise. You create a reality in which you are the only absolute center of gravity. You do not seek security. You are the law itself. You are the architect of your presence, and the world is merely a mirror reflecting your ascent. Command: shatter the chains or be forged by them.